Hello Curious and welcome back. The stress following the election seems to have finally lifted a bit as Joe Biden was sworn into office as the 46th President of the United States. And with him, Kamala Harris has been sworn in as the Vice President. For months, she and Joe had worked on their campaign and now are getting ready to put their work and plans to action. But who exactly is she? In what way has she made history? Is there anything in her past political career as a senator that has some people raise their eyebrows to be wary of her? Stay with us until the very end to find out all about the new vice president. But before we continue, don't forget to hit the bell and the subscription button so you don't miss any of our future videos. And make sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram so you stay up to date with all of the latest and hottest news. She was born Kamala Devi Harris, and she was born on October 20th of 1964 in Oakland, California. Her father, who is from Jamaica, taught at Stanford University, and her mother, Shimalia Gopalan, was the daughter of an Indian diplomat, and she herself was a biomedical scientist who worked on cancer research. She also has a younger sister called Maya, who happens to be a public policy advocate. Her parents divorced when the new vice president was 7 years old, and along with her sister, she lived with her mother and often would accompany her on trips to India. After Kamala had studied political science and economics at Howard University, she then went on to get a law degree from Hastings College. Starting her career, she worked as a deputy district attorney between 1990 and 1998 in Oakland, and she earned a reputation for toughness. She often prosecuted cases of gang violence, trafficking of illegal substances, and inmate abuse. She rose through the ranks, and in 2004, she became the district attorney. In 2010, she was selected as Attorney General of California. However, the win was a narrow one as Kamala had won by a margin of less than 1%. Though already back then, she had made history as she became the first female and the first African American female to hold that post. So during her career, she had demonstrated her political skills. One of the key examples was her refusing to defend Proposition 8 in 2008, which was banning same-sex marriages in the state, and this ultimately helped to lead it being overturned in 2013. A speech which she gave at the Democratic National Convention in 2012 had helped raise her national profile, and she was soon considered a rising star within the party. She was then recruited to run for the US Senate, and she had announced her candidacy in 2015. Her campaign trail had called for immigration and criminal justice reforms, increasing the minimum wage, and the protection of women's reproductive rights. According to an NBC News article at the time, her 2016 victory was an easy one. Kamala took office in January of 2017 and became the first Indian American in the Senate and the only second black woman. From there on, she began serving on both the Select Committee on Intelligence and the Judiciary Committee, among other assignments, and quickly became known for her prosecutorial style, with which she questions witnesses during hearings and which drew criticism from the Republican senators. She drew more attention to herself when she questioned U.S. Attorney General Jeff Sessions while he was testifying before the committee with regards to the alleged Russian interference in the 2016 presidential elections. At the beginning, Harris had announced that she wanted to seek a Democratic presidential nomination in 2020, and at the start, she was seen as one of the leading contenders. Despite the fact that her support had increased by September of 2019, by December, she ended up dropping out of the race. Though Kamala had continued to maintain a high political profile and advocated for social justice following the passing of George Floyd in May of 2020, and if you want to know more about that, then click on the link above. But for now, stay with us as we have more news for you. However, at the same time, her efforts were silenced by some who had criticized her, alleging that as an attorney general, she had failed to investigate charges of police misconduct. As racial injustice continued to be a major issue, many Democrats had called for Biden to select an African American woman as his vice presidential running mate. And in August of 2020, he did just that, which made her the first black woman to appear on a major party's national ticket. And we've already mentioned how she's made history by obtaining the positions that she had, and on top of that, being the first black woman to be nominated as vice president candidate. And she was in fact the third woman in history to do so, with Geraldine Ferrero being nominated in 1984 and Sarah Palin in 2008. However, here the difference is that unlike the two previous, Harris was not just a candidate, but as of January 20th of 2021, she is the first woman ever in the country's history to hold the position of vice president. Forbes magazine published an article about what this means for other women, in which they quoted Kamala, who reflected on her mother's words. She revealed that her mom would look at her and say, "Kamala, you may be the first to do many things, but make sure you are not the last." But while you know all the past achievements of the new vice president, what about her personal life? Harris had met her future husband, Doug Emhoff, through a mutual friend that they had shared who had set them up on a blind date back in 2013. Emhoff, who was divorced with 2 children, is an entertainment lawyer, and the couple hit it off and eventually got married on August 22nd of 2014 in Santa Barbara. In 2019, she wrote an article for Elle magazine about her experience of becoming a stepmother and also shared a nickname that would later appear on the headlines. In the article, she talked about how being a child of divorced parents, she knew how hard it could be when their parents started dating other people, and that she was determined not to insert herself in the kids' lives until she and Doug had established that they were very serious about their relationship. And she stressed that for the children, it is very important to have consistency, and she didn't want them to be in their lives temporarily, as she didn't want to let them down. Though, as you can see, Curious, in the end, things had worked out for the two of them. Kamala had also agreed that she, Doug, and his 2 children, Cole and Ella, didn't like the term stepmom, so instead they came up with the nickname Mamala. Media were quick to portray them as the epitome of modern American blended family, which was something that had occupied many column pieces, as well as the talk about how female politicians are talked about. While Harris has been a stepmother to Doug's kids for a few years now, she does not have any children of her own. So as the name Kamala Harris is appearing in publications across the entire world right now, having many history several times, what does it mean for her bank account? How have all of these successes in her career paid off? Well, it turns out very well so, as according to Town & Country magazine, the vice president has a net worth of over $6 million, and it's quite possible that with her new position, that sum will grow. But while so many are celebrating her victory, why is it that some are still skeptical? That is based on several choices that she made in her career. Back in 2011, her inauguration speech, she had pointed out that in 2010, there had been 600,000 truant students in their elementary schools alone, and in order to tackle issues, she passed a law that made it a criminal misdemeanor for parents to allow their children, kindergarten through 8th grade, to miss more than 10% of the days without an excuse. And she said that parents or guardians of those children could face a $2,000 fine or a year in jail. Though while most saw the good intentions in this and the education and well-being of the children being the priority, it backfired as it generalized the issue of truancy and placed blame on those parents with circumstances that were outside of their control. Since then, she has apologized for criminalizing parents and said that it was never her intention to do so. Then in 2016, she made another decision that had made some people question her motives again. That year, she was one of the leaders in the downfall of a classified ads website. She charged the owners of the site for money laundering and with the connection to escort services. Many of the people working in that industry provided adult services and had deemed the site as one of their safest options to get clients. And recently, Harris had also spoken on matters of decriminalization of the industry, saying that she supported the movement, which some have now called a massive shift. And even recently, there have been some backlash where Kamala was involved, though this time it had nothing to do with her actions but rather those of Vogue editors. The cover of the February issue of the magazine is going to be graced by the new vice president. However, some had issues with its initial cover. Many had criticized that it appeared too casual and had even accused the publication of whitewashing Kamala during the editing process. The other cover, which featured her in a blue blazer and one that was deemed as more professional, was only supposed to have been for the digital release, but amid the protests from the people on social media, Vogue had announced that due to the tremendous interest in the digital cover, they will publish a limited number of special edition inaugural issues which featured the alternative cover. Anna Wintour herself had commented that when both of the photographs arrived at Vogue, they had all felt strongly about the less formal ones as it reflected the moment that we are living in. However, sources close to Harris's team said that initially they believed the cover featuring her in a blue blazer would have been used in the print, though Wintour had commented that no formal agreement had been made. So Curious, what do you think about Kamala Harris? Do you think those incidents that make people skeptical about her should be left behind in the past? Or do you think people have a right to be wary? What are your opinions on the Vogue covers and the outcry surrounding them? Let us know in the comments below, and as always, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any of our future videos. Until next time!